Thank you for joining us. This is live with Miami's Community News, and our guest today, our honored guest, is the president of the Homestead Campus of Miami-Dade College, Dr. Oscar
Loynaz.
Loynaz. All right, I try to do it phonetically, but good. So this is a relatively new position for you in that position. In December was when you were selected.
Yes, I've been at Miami-Dade College since January of 2018,
Yes.
but I've been at the Homestead Campus since December of 2020.
So it must have been quite an honor when they selected you, and you said, "Yes, I want to do that."
It was
Yes.
a little bit of a surprise because it wasn't something that I was expecting, but the news came and at a very good time. It was during the pandemic, so during the pandemic, I was a little bit kind of wondering, okay, what's the next step? Where's life going to take us? And that opened up a whole bunch of opportunities. And I love the Homestead Campus, and I'm really glad to have been chosen to be there.
And we're going to talk about your time at FIU. What I like to do is to go back when you were a young child and you left Cuba.
Okay.
All right. And you went from Cuba to here with your mom.
I did.
Your sister was already here.
Yep, she had been here about a year.
And so why don't we go ahead and put that image up?
Oh my goodness.
And so the image, it's not of you, but it's a place that you visited. All right. All right.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. So
yes.
Tell us about that.
So actually, we went there to get. It's interesting. We had come from Cuba, and we had been here a couple of months. And at the time, they were trying to relocate a lot of the refugees to other parts of the country. So we went to the Freedom Tower. We of course went there to get checked and do all kinds of things.
Excuse me, Andres, just leave it up there for a little bit, maybe for like 3 or 4 more minutes. Okay.
And so one of the things that was offered to us when we were there was, would we be willing to relocate to California? And
in that building, they offer that in that building that's on the screen right now.
And we
got goosebumps because I sure am.
And we agreed. My mom agreed. It didn't last long. We stayed in California 17 days. And my mom said, "This is enough for us. Let's go back to Miami."
Even though the weather's about the same.
So the government tried, but we didn't cooperate.
My home is Miami.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And so, you're about how old?
I was 8 years old.
All right. And by the way, the Freedom Tower is the place. All right. It's so significant for all of us in Miami-Dade County. And we were looking at some pictures of when it was being built. And for a while, it was the home of the Miami News. All right. Yeah. And lots of history there. And a lot of people went through that. Lots. And it certainly is symbolic of who we are as Americans, and whenever I drive by, it just, it touches me that we have immigrants that have come here with little or nothing.
Yeah.
And have achieved so much. And when I was in high school, maybe before that, I said to my father, "How is it these Cubans come over here, and in 3 or 4 years they have so much?" He says, and he said something interesting: "Is the people that are migrating, all right, that they're driven for success. That's why they came here, all right. Not the guy says, 'Hey, I don't care,' all right." So my hat's off to you. All right, thank you for that, Andres.
Actually, my hat's off to my mom. My mom was extremely driven, dedicated. And came here. Really, we didn't have a lot of family. She left all of her family. It was only my dad's family here. She was a recent widow, so she really did a lot to make sure that we got ahead.
I had an occasion to go to a restaurant on Bird Road way out, and they had a boat out there, a small boat, that some of the immigrants who got in that boat and came over here. And I'm imagining seeing that and thinking, there are they out in the middle of the ocean, right? Essentially by themselves, making that trek. Dangerous would be an understatement. But that's one of the great things about Miami is that we had these people that came here that were driven to make a difference, and we have all made a difference here. So
we came by plane, by the way.
What?
We came on a plane, by the way.
So, no boat, no swimming, no sailboat, no catamaran.
But it was my first flight.
And I remember seeing those planes come in to Miami International, the old prop planes, and seeing it. And I've probably seen it 100 times since then, so I'm not sure which year I saw that, but I've seen it for a long, long time. So at some point you decided, I'm going to go to medical school. Before that, what were you doing and what was your plan?
So my plan wasn't really to go to medical school. My dad was a doctor, so of course my family always wanted me to study medicine. And I wasn't sure that's what I wanted, but I became a teenage volunteer at what used to be Parkway Hospital. Now it's Jackson North. And I was probably one of the few male candy stripers. They had a really hard time figuring out what I was going to wear, but they finally settled on a red shirt and white pants. And I loved the hospital and I loved healthcare. I realize now that I didn't really want to be a doctor, but I love the hospital environment. I love the healthcare environment, and I liked helping people. But, medicine was good. I liked the science of it. And when I went to school, I really enjoyed studying medicine. The practice of it in the Dominican Republic was very different than here. In the Dominican Republic, your resources are limited. When you come to the United States, you've got all of this equipment, all of these lab tests. You have a different style also of
Yes.
practice with insurance and so forth. And I didn't enjoy it so much when I got here. And that's when my career path changed. But what I loved about medicine the most is the ability to help people, to comfort people, make people feel better.
So here you are years later, after working in the AIDS arena, the mental health arena, Hialeah Hospital, the Health Crisis Network, Coral Reef Hospital, right?
Yes.
All in those arenas. And then you served 18 years or so at FIU.
I did.
Oh, by the way, I used to be a registered nurse. When I was in school, they couldn't figure out what I was going to wear either.
I can imagine.
But they managed to figure out something. Oh, and CHI, you worked for CHI.
I did.
Our good friend, Colonel Bradley down there.
Yes.
You served 25 years.
Colonel
So
Hartley.
Colonel Hartley, I'm sorry. He's getting ready to retire. I say, you got years left. No, Michael, it's time. One of the things that I didn't realize about CHI, it was really created by Doris, I forget her last name.
Ison.
Because the poor and the blacks had to drive to Jackson to get care.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long way to go. Plus, it's an isolated area compared to the Homestead as far as that track. And so that meant they weren't getting the health care.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand that, especially after this pandemic or during it, how the wealthy and the wise and the connected got healthcare earlier than the poor. My hat's off to CHI and the county that made sure they took that medicine, they got it down there with the pop-up areas and the vans, and they really took care of lots of people. So here you are at FIU for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And what were the years that you were there?
I was there from 1999 to 2017, end of 2017.
So, by the way, when I sing this little tune, FIU in 72.
Oh, yeah.
one building there. I went out there not so long ago. I went,
Primera casa.
yes, exactly. We wrote our names in the concrete. That was when it was pass-fail.
Yeah.
And computers were first coming out, and they said software, hardware. I'm going, what do they mean? Software? What is software? So I'm like, so you liked giving to people. You liked serving the public in that arena. So you're at FIU. Tell us about your experience there before you went to Miami-Dade.
So at FIU, I started out in the Health and Wellness Center. That was my entire time at FIU was in health and wellness. And I started out being the assistant director for the wellness programs, basically just educating students about sexual health, substance use and abuse, diet and nutrition, anything to keep them healthy, anything to keep them informed so that they can be better citizens, they can be better individuals, and hopefully stick around and graduate.
Interesting thing happened. I was in Boy Scouts years ago, and I remember taking this swimming on how to save somebody, all right, in the water. I was maybe in 9th or 10th grade. I was with a girl and a guy, and I pushed the girl into the canal. She started to drown. I jumped in, all right, and I went to try to catch her like this, and then she, of course, put her hands on my head, and I'm saying, grab her waist, grab her legs. I can hear it. I can hear it. I can hear that. Oh, and I was able to. It wasn't very far from here to there. But sometimes all it takes is to remember that one thing, as you taught, that can save somebody's life or keep them from entering this years of discomforts. So FIU, you're there and served. Now, how did you wind up at Miami-Dade?
So at FIU, I started doing the health and wellness. Yes. From there, I transitioned to being the business person of the department. I ran the department. I ran all of the immunizations, the computer support.
They have software now.
And then from there, ultimately, I became the director for the Health and Wellness Center. And so that really prepared me to look at my profession and look at how I served in a very different way. Initially, I thought that serving and helping people had to be, right there at the bedside. Now I realize how much help and influence I could make by being in a position of leadership. So I loved FIU. I was there for many years, and I used to walk around and say, this is a great place to be. And however, Miami-Dade College, a position for the dean for the School of Health Sciences opened up. And a friend of mine called me up and said, would you be interested in applying for that position? And I thought, no, at FIU, I was in the Student Health Center. I was an administrator. I was in the healthcare field. Although I did teach, I was an adjunct professor for over 10 years. I wasn't on the academic side of the house. So it concerned me, because I said, am I really going to be able to be the best fit and serve the students and the administration of Miami-Dade College with what I know? But I said, you know what, I'm going to apply and let them decide, right? And I did, and I got the job. And a month into the position, I knew that I could do it. It's just, I had the skill sets, I have the knowledge. It's just a matter of applying it and learning how Miami-Dade College works. And so I was at the medical campus for about 2 years, and I loved it because it's very aligned with what I was always doing. And as the dean of the School of Health Sciences, I had great pride in the school. It had over 22 programs, and I was very happy to be there. For a short time, our campus president left, and so they needed someone to kind of step in, and I was asked to do that. And I did that for about 5 months.
They were grooming you.
No, I think they were desperate.
No, Mr. President.
But what happened was that it allowed me to see what the role of the campus president was. And I realized that it was actually more aligned with the work that I had been doing as an administrator than actually the dean position was. But I loved being the dean, and I loved working with the chairpersons that I had and the faculty and the students. So I happily went back to my old position. And, later on, a position of vice provost of academic schools came about. I was asked, could I step in for a little bit because the person had just left. And I did that for about a year. And that was a very different role. But I enjoyed it. And it allowed me to get to know the college more in a different capacity. And then this position at the Homestead campus opened up. And I guess they felt that I was ready.
So you must feel pretty fulfilled.
Yes.
And, as you get a little bit older, you start looking, go, this is almost self-actualization. I know it's around. So every once in a while, you get to feel it. Yes, this is it. By the way, I took some health classes at the downtown campus.
Oh, Wolfson.
Okay, Wolfson.
Yes.
Solomon one building back. That's how long ago it was, kiddies. All right. So, and to see
There's
the
8 buildings now.
Yes. And to see the progress of Miami-Dade, one of the largest, if not the largest colleges in the country.
Yes, sir.
80,000, 90,000
Well,
students.
about 120.
120.
If you count our non-credit students as well.
So there are lots of credits and non-credit classes and certificate classes that people can take. What are some of the popular, and then some of the ones that are not popular yet, but you think will be?
So, the popularity also depends on the area of town that you're in. We have 8 campuses. So we have from North Campus to Homestead to the Medical Campus to Wolfson, Hialeah, West, Padron Campus right in the middle of the city. So there's a lot of different opportunities for individuals in Miami to access what we offer. I believe right now the most popular, and you have to know that tech is what's popular in Miami now. So a lot of our tech programs sell out really quickly. Many of them, whether it's cybersecurity or cloud computing, network security, all of these fields are very popular and very much in demand now. So those sell out pretty quick. Our medical and health programs are extremely popular. Nursing is very hard to get into. Our physician assistant program is hard to get into. Firefighter is also a tough one. We have a police academy. So there's a lot of different programs. Now, of course, we have science, the STEM. A lot of students, that are coming into STEM now
That stands for?
So science, technology, engineering, and math. And basically, there's an A added to that, which is arts. So you can have STEAM as well. But there's a lot of opportunities at Miami-Dade College to explore whichever path you want to take.
And you also have people that are interested in flying.
Right? Yes, we have a School of Aviation.
Yes.
The Homestead campus is the home for the Ike Watson School of Aviation. And we have 2 different centers. We have one at Miami International Airport and one at Miami Executive Airport.
So for you folks that haven't had the opportunity to be in a simulator and take a flight, it's extraordinary.
It is.
And you look and you're there.
Yeah.
You got whatever airport you're landing at, they go like this, they go all over. Yeah. It's really phenomenal. I took a ride, if you will. And then when they open the door, you get out and you're on this deck and you go, where's the rest of the plane?
And it's also, they can simulate different weather conditions. So it's a simulation right now is very popular. And the reason it's so popular in aviation and healthcare and a variety of fields is because you can make all the mistakes you want and not do any harm.
Yeah, and there is really something with our psyche and our brain and our personality. Oh, I've been here before. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to distinguish. Was that a real patient or was it a dummy? Or was that a real plane, or was it a simulator? That's the purpose of that, right? Is to get you used to that. And I know that people that have phobias, lots of times it's the constant exposure to it to get people over that, whether it's by movies, and showing it, or taking him to the zoo and get within 100 feet of the snake, see what happens. So, so the campus is in the historic part of Homestead, right?
Yes.
And when the campus was starting, when was this campus built?
1990. Well, it opened up in 1992, shortly before Hurricane Andrew. And so basically that was as you know, was a pivotal moment in South Florida and the Homestead community. And so the campus lost about 50% of its enrollment, and it took us several years to start being rebuilt and coming back.
One of the things we recognize with big schools and government is they have a place in society to be in areas that we want to, that eventually that we want to be in, and to set the role of a leader. And certainly when Miami-Dade decided to go to Homestead, that was a significant move to move into an area and you go, what's our purpose in society, and how can we help fulfill that down there?
Yeah.
So what's some of the goals of the Homestead campus of Miami-Dade?
So before I go into that, I also want to mention that in February, we're going to be having a naming ceremony for Dr. Roy Phillips, who was the founding president of the Homestead campus. And so he passed away in December, this past December. And in his memory, we're renaming one of our buildings, our original building, which used to be a Barnett Bank, in his name. So hopefully you'll be hearing more about that soon. But for me, the goals of the Homestead campus are to bring programs. When you asked before, what are some of the popular programs? We are down south. Most of the popular programs are located in the more central locations, and a lot of them are very equipment heavy. And so it's impossible to replicate them in many of our different sites. My goal is to try to figure out a way, I don't know how, but we'll work on it, to have those programs be more accessible to the students in South Dade. Our campus is the Homestead campus, but we serve all of South Dade, Florida City, Goulds, and so forth. So my goal would be to try to bring some of those programs down south so that the students don't have that burden of traveling to different places to be able to get that education.
Years ago, Miami-Dade had a campaign as IMMDCC.
Yeah.
That was a great campaign.
It was.
I look at it and go, oh, I know that person. Oh, look at this. It's really significant. And to be able to bring that, to the attention of people, because sometimes people, they sort of poo-poo the home plate.
They
right?
do.
And
They do.
and so, but really, the Miami-Dade has served a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people. Probably my most significant mentor was a teacher that I only knew for a short time at Miami-Dade, and I was failing an English class, and she says, "Come on, Michael, we're gonna have a special class." So I go to her office, which was not much bigger than this table, and she says, "What's the problem?" I said, "The problem is when I start typing on the typewriter, right, I get frustrated, I rip the paper out." And then she goes, "And what happens?" "I don't know. I get frustrated and I stop." She says, "Why don't you do this in the future? When that happens, just stop and start again." That was 45 years ago, and I remember it like it was today. Really significant for me. And also had an anatomy and physiology teacher when I was in school. I'm still friendly with his wife.
Wow.
Many, many, many years later. So I think that lots of times that we have these teachers and these leaders that stand out. If you could share with us a mentor, somebody that meant a lot to you, and share that a moment.
That's a very interesting question, because I've had several mentors in my life and they have no idea. And some of them probably don't even remember me. But these were individuals that I would look at from afar and taught me a lot about the way to think about life. When I worked at CHI, I was a case manager for HIV/AIDS patients. And I was kind of not thrown into the position because I applied for it, but most of my experience had been in mental health. Now I was into the HIV/AIDS, where the needs were very different. I had to find housing for them. I had to find food assistance, and a lot.
What year was that?
1990, 1991.
Oh.
So I was trying to find it, and there was a gentleman by the name of Dominic Margarelli, and Dominic worked for an organization called Cure AIDS Now. And Dominic was a lifesaver to me, because whenever I was stuck, I would call him. I think I saw him once. All of our interactions were on the phone, but whenever I was stuck, Dominic would help me out. So I'm getting emotional because there are just so many people that touch our lives and we don't even know.
Thank you, Dominic, for making a difference. All right. So, and part of what we want as leaders in the community and as mentors to so many people that we don't know, right? Because sometimes it's just that one thing, all right? And I remember clearly when I was graduating college, my father said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said to him, "Well, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life." And then imagine I'm 20 and saying that. He says, "Well, why don't you do whatever you want to do and do the best you can until you don't want to do it anymore?"
That's awesome advice.
Right? So 50 years later, 40 years later, we put on the building that a plaque that said that. All right, because you never know when that moment is going to happen. And a couple of weeks ago, we interviewed a 10th grader, young lady, Lauren Page, who when she was in 2nd grade said this to her parents, I think there's a lot of children that are illiterate. Since then, she has redistributed 310,000 books.
Wow.
So you never know when that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the mental health crisis that is going on now, all right? For a lot of reasons. We know that there are a lot of drug overdoses, alcoholism, there's a lot of violence that's going on. We have a lot of frustrated people, from COVID and all this, and it's been going on almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So since you've been in that arena, and share with us, if you could, what you think is happening and what is the school providing for the students?
So I think what's happening is a lot of things happened in 2020. We had COVID, we had presidential elections, we had a lot of different things going on. And so, and I think social media, we're on Facebook Live now, so I'm not going to trash social media. No, but I think social media also has a strong influence on society and what we do and how we look at things. So I think what's been going on for a long time is people are withdrawing because of you have to. So we've had the social distance, we have work remotely, school remotely. There's fear. There's fear about what happens if I get infected? What happens if I get the vaccine? What happens if my family member gets sick? What's going to happen to the bills? So there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. And I think when that happens, people tend to go to a very kind of primitive place. Yes. And so that's a lot of what you see. Now, the school is offering a lot of different programs and services to be able to help not only our students, but our faculty and staff as well. For example, just recently, we were notified that if we were vaccinated, we could get $275 for just showing proof of vaccination. Why? Because the college wants to make sure that those that want to come back are able to come back and feel that they're in a safe environment. We have mental health counseling. We have it at all the campuses, and soon we'll be having it 24 hours where people can access it remotely if necessary. There are modalities that we're teaching so that students can choose whatever fits their need best. So we have MDC Live. MDC Live is, let's say your class is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Your class is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m., but you can do it from anywhere. So you can just, remote in, and that's it. You can do in person. A lot of students want to be in person because a lot of students don't learn the same. And so we're trying to offer every single option available so that students can continue with their education.
So we see the difference here. We have people that work from home now.
Mm-hmm.
Where never before they did that. So there's a certain sense of isolation that they have to feel because it is the friends, coworkers they had are not part of their lives anymore. Yeah. So there's this transition. But there was certainly something about when you would go to the lunchroom and people would be eating there, or the conversation about around the water cooler. I would really enjoy breaking up the party. Now we welcome. No, it's okay. Go ahead and do that. And for a year and a half, you come in, you have to wear a mask in your hands. We had a sticker, and here we had the glass for almost the whole time. Every table was cleaned each and every time. But we recognize the stress on people are different. I learned that personally when I had a pedicure here a year and a half ago, and I go home. She locked me out of the house. And she says that I locked it from the inside. For days, she wouldn't talk to me because she didn't think I was honoring the space that was there. And then so you start realizing everybody's handles this differently.
Yes.
And so we each interpret what's going on a little bit different. But to your point, which is nowadays if I have a cough, I go, it's not COVID. I've had all 3 shots and I got tested. And we don't know that. So it's hard for us to get reconnected. My grandkids, 7 and 5. The 5-year-old for 2 years out of the 5, or almost 2 years out of 5, mask, no mask. Okay, safe, no. And that is confusing for people.
It is.
And for the young people when they go to school, whether where it's online or in person, certainly can be disruptive to their learning, their ability to learn and to absorb. And I'm glad that you have those mental health services. By the way, Kids, don't do anything stupid. Dial 211, dial 911, walk in the hospital, the police station, suicide hotlines, National Alliance for Mental Illness. There's help everywhere. Talk to somebody and ask for help, because there's a lot of help. And we see the kind of stress that this has. Tell me about enrollment, what it looks like for the fall, or for this winter, whatever the next
Well,
session is.
we're currently in fall 2021, and preparing for spring 2022. So basically, enrollment, if you compare it to last fall, we're doing better. We're catching up. But if you compare it to fall of 2019, it's not the same. So we're really trying to catch up to what the numbers were before, simply because we need to let people know that we're here. We need to let people know that if they want to continue with their educations, when the pandemic is over, your life will continue, all right? And if the pandemic is never over, your life still continues. So it's not on pause. So it's really important that individuals know that if you want to be ready for the workforce, whatever that may be, whether it's working from home or whatever you think is the right fit, we have the programs available to get you there.
And people can register now for spring.
Yeah, and well, spring starts
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks, like in a
Okay.
week or so. But the one thing that a lot of people don't know is that we have different start times. So many people think, oh, fall already started, so it's done. No, we have classes starting October 25th. We have 8-week programs, we have 12-week programs, we have a variety of different options. So there's still, if people are interested in registering, you can still register for fall. We have classes starting October 25th, and most of the classes are available. And classes, when they fill up, we open up new ones. So we're here, and we're ready to help in whatever way we can.
So I'll bet there's a lot of students there that they're the first one in their family to go to college.
Many.
That is so significant. I happen to be the first one in my, as bright as my father was, he never finished college. And when I graduated, it was like, that was a wonderful feeling. So if you're close, keep going. You're going to get it.
Well, we have scholarships available we have the last mile, which is for those that have about 13 credits or so to go, that they can come back and get a scholarship to be able to finish. We have scholarships for people that have been out for a year. For example, let's say that you were out for 3 semesters. If you come back now, you're able to register and pretty much get all your classes paid for. So there's a lot of opportunities and options right now for individuals to go back to school.
So we know, as an employer, we look to somebody's education, the formal education, say, okay, this is what they did. That means they have the patience, the tolerance, the intellect to understand there's a value to that, even if it's not in their field. All right, it says something about they just spent 2 years or 4 years, or they went and got that certificate. And if somebody walked in the door today and said, I'm a webmaster and I went to Miami-Dade, all right, and I have a certificate and I'm good, come to our office, we're going to hire you.
There you
all right,
go.
because that says to us they care.
Yeah.
All right, and it doesn't matter whether it's a 4-week certificate or an 8 or whatever it is, because we recognize they cared enough to be able to do that.
And one thing that I was going to add is, when you mentioned this before about people minimizing the significance of institutions that are in their backyard, Miami-Dade is not the end. Miami-Dade is the beginning. So just because you go to Miami-Dade College doesn't mean that that's going to be your last step in your career evolution. That's the beginning of your career path. You can go from there to Harvard. You can go wherever you want. That is how you start. And I actually think that Miami-Dade College is a very smart way to go, because you can get an associate's degree, you can get a baccalaureate degree at a very affordable price.
Now, Miami-Dade years ago started they had the 2-year nursing degree and then a 4-year, right? There was
we have a 2-year degree, which is the associates in nursing,
right,
and then we have the baccalaureate degree, which is 1 year pretty much.
Okay, 1 year.
Well, it can be more.
Right.
Sorry, but what it is that we're offering the baccalaureate, and the same thing is happening with the School of Education,
Yeah.
And the School of Business also has a baccalaureate degree.
So all those things are important, and even if the person can only do it in increments,
Mm-hmm.
and that's wonderful. My daughter, when she was at FIU, she said, I want to drop out. I said, okay, then you got to move back home. About 3 hours later, she was at the house. Hey, doc, that didn't work. All right. She took off a year, finished her bachelor's in business administration, went to bakery school, then went and got her master's. The light went on.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, I need to do that. And she did a little bit at a time and to absorb what was happening. And then I think that's a good step, whether that's the last step or the beginning step,
Yeah.
to do that. And I have seen people have headed up the blood laboratories, all right, and the hospitals, wind up 10 years later running the hospital.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, right? Because you can show your skill in doing that. So tell us about some of the certificate programs that are out there.
So we have a wide variety of certificate programs. We have stackable credentials is what we think of Miami-Dade College is a smart way to go, because you can get, for example, let's say graphic design. You can get a certificate in graphic design, and you can move on from there. You can do marketing. You can do a wide variety of things. But we have many certificates in health. We have certificates in business. We have certificates in aviation, education. I would say just about every career path at Miami-Dade College has a stackable credential pathway that they can take towards their degree.
Certainly one of the leaders is Dr. Eduardo Padron, who led the schools for many, many years. Very humble guy, all right, and really well known. And when we did a special section honoring him, he sent letters to a lot of people that sent messages in the advertising piece, handwritten notes, and it's like, it was really unique. We've had the opportunity to meet Madeline Primariega, and as well as we like our friend up there, Hialeah president up there. I forget his name.
Cruz.
Yeah. So Grant and I have a good time twisting, that, and certainly Miami-Dade.
The engine of progress.
Yes. and we watch the kind of impact that Miami-Dade has, right, on throughout the country, and especially here when you think of all these campuses and how many students go there. Tell us if you know the average age for the students at Homestead.
The average age of students at Homestead is pretty young. It's like about 18 to 24. And then the next late is like 24 to 30, kind of in that.
Is that about the average with the rest of the schools?
It depends. For example, if you look at the medical campus, the average age is a little bit older for a variety of reasons. Number one, some of those students are transitioning from other career fields, or for example, the physician assistant program, you have to have a bachelor's degree before you can apply. So that right there, an individual has been in school for about 4 years before they apply.
Your PA program, when it's how many years? How many years it's been? You've had that program?
Oh my God, it's been
a while.
Yeah.
So when I was in school, it was like, okay, you had these war medics, all right, Vietnam War medics. They were trying to do it. What name were we going to put on it, all right? And then I think it was physician assistant back then. But PAs and nurse practitioners and registered nurses all play a gigantic role in providing healthcare.
They do.
Right? And when we think about the people in the healthcare arena in the last year and a half and working in hospitals, and then the warriors working on those floors, day in and day out with people with AIDS and risking that. I know that that's about to shift the next couple months, all right, as far as that it's going to go away. So we know there's a lot of stress on those nurses, and the rate of retirement has gone up a lot. But there's then a demand for more nurses. What's the school going to do to provide more education or additional openings?
So we currently have aside from the medical campus, the Homestead campus also has a nursing program. And so that nursing program, we just increased the number of students coming in. We've also created a new part-time option that does it on the evenings and the weekends. So we're increasing the seats and the variety of offerings. We're also doing a healthcare master plan for the Homestead campus to try to figure out what careers and workforce needs exist in the South Dade area to make sure that we meet them. But the nursing programs are still strong. There's a lot of students out there that's what they want to do.
So we had a receptionist for a year and a half. She was was in another nursing program, but she just got her. She just finished class and she passed her boards. When I was in school, it took like 2 months to get your results. This is like, I don't know, the next day or something like that. So we recognize there's a big need, and in Dade County, the number of healthcare opportunities is huge. I mean, look at with two big universities with medical schools, or medical schools with universities connected to them.
Well, and the other thing to do is, for example, you can start out being a medical assistant, or you can start being a certified nursing assistant. There's many different pathways to get there. So a lot of individuals think, oh my God, I want to be a nurse. What am I going to do after? You can work your way there. If you've got family responsibilities, if you've got financial responsibilities, and you can't afford to go to school full time, even though we have plenty of financial assistant programs available, there are pathways that you can do where you can get, here, work while you study, and then go to the next level and continue going from there. Right now, most nurses that graduate with an associate's degree, They pass their boards, they can practice as a registered nurse. Many hospitals now are requiring that they get a baccalaureate degree.
Yes.
So they can go back and do that. And many hospitals are actually paying their employees to be able to go back to school and get their
So there was a
bachelor's.
university, which I won't name, but it was out of the state when online first started. And so nurses got into those programs. And then the county started recognizing that. Who knew 30 years later that for a variety of reasons, that would be a common place to go?
Yeah.
I come from the place that I like one-on-one, all right? And you're in there and you get the vibes there instead of on Zoom, which is for me very distracting and very easy to not pay attention and to look down at your phone. So when you're there and you have other people that are headed the same direction, it certainly is an environment that increases the opportunity for them to graduate. And tell us a bit about your retention plan to help these kids stay in school.
So, one of the biggest things that we're finding is that the biggest challenges for students when they come in is English and math. So that's where our focus is right now, to ensure that students are successful in their English and math courses when they come in, because that is where they sort of start feeling like, maybe I don't belong. Maybe this isn't for me. And if there are students that are really struggling in that path, also giving them, let's say you want to be, a journalist, trying to get them to take courses early on that give them that feel of the career that they want. The last thing you want to do is take a bunch of prerequisites before you even get close to that field that you're dreaming about being. So we're trying to be able to really arrange the way that our focus, that our courses are offered, the way that our students are advised, so that they can get a little bit more, they can get a contextualized education that will meet their needs a lot earlier.
We had the occasion about 6 months ago to be with a young man who had a mental breakdown about 10 years before, and he's stable now. And he came in and he sang a song. All right, he wrote the music and he sang with the guitar, and it was called "You Are Not Alone." His mother's sitting here, I'm sitting over there. We are both crying, out of control, bawling. All right, and I'm imagining him walking along Biscayne Boulevard with no shoes and no shirt, and wondering where the next meal was going to come from. But the essence of it, which is you are not alone, right? That's what keeps people doing those things. And so that camaraderie that people get whether it's going to church or synagogue or Miami-Dade College or wherever it happens to be, is what keeps people together. And when you see people going to a football game, it's like I think they play football down there, but there's another whole other party for the other 50,000 people. So oh my goodness, there's David Singer over there. Hello, David Singer. So, so Miami-Dade serving a lot of people, right? And there are a lot of people on your team. Can you name some of those people that have helped make Miami-Dade Homestead Campus what it is?
Well, so I have to say Dr. Jean Jacobs, that was there for 15 years before I came along. She's really a staple at the campus and at the college, and she's done a great deal to be able to make Homestead Campus what it is today. I mentioned Dr. Roy Phillips, who was the founding president. We have a gentleman by the name of Harry Hoffman, who is an institution at Miami-Dade College, but Harry has done a great deal at the Homestead Campus as well. We have, our entire team, from Tanya Costa, who is our Dean of Students, to Wesley Fox, who's our Dean of Faculty, to my assistant, Cheryl Rivera. I mean, Jacqueline Caldwell, who's over at administration. We are all a team that work together to make sure that the campus is running, that students are getting what they need. And I would be here till tomorrow trying to name all the people that have helped the campus succeed.
And we got a couple minutes left, Doctor. So one of the things that years ago I wasn't feeling right, I go to my cardiologist and he says to me, "What's going on?" Do you know, as soon as he said that and he put his hand on my shoulder, I was better. I just wanted to talk for a moment. So I know there are a lot of students out there that want to talk about the grief that they're having and their struggles. And then, of course, they got racking their brains trying to figure out where they're going. So I know that people can get some help, some guidance at your school. They just have to ask for it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
one of the things that I tell the students is that do not ever let something that you need keep you from achieving your goals. Many times students need things and they're afraid to ask for it. That's what we're there for. And I always encourage students to come and ask for whatever it is. We may not be able to give them everything they need, but at least try to point them in the right direction and help support that.
So students can take a certificate program. They can take a non-credit classes. They can take credit classes. They can use that.
And non-credit to credit is a great pathway.
Yes.
If you want to take a class that's a non-credit class, or we don't like to call it well, it is non-credit, but School of Professional Development, Continuing Education, Professional Development, you can take classes through there, and then that will then transition to a credit side. We have ability to do that. So there's a lot of ways that you can start your path. Don't be afraid.
So for the past 2 months, we brought somebody in who taught a class here, right? And I said, I got done with that class. Now I have another one that I started. And it's wonderful, right? I get to ask whatever questions I want, get them to do the stuff that we need to have done, and to find out some direction. So all that's available to your students here. And so Homestead down in South End, you have Kendall, right?
Kendall.
And most of your students come from the South End.
Yes.
Any from Upper Keys?
Yeah, we do. We have students from the Upper Keys. There's also the Florida Keys College, and they now just opened up a place in Key Largo. But most of our students are from the South End area, but we do have some from there are students from the Keys that are going all the way to Magic, which is in Wolfson, which is our animation and gaming institute. So there's a lot of potential for growth at Miami-Dade College still.
So here you are. You've been involved in education and taking care of people. The effect that you are having on literally thousands of students, right, over the years must be significant for you, and how you feel about what you're doing, and your desire to continue.
Yeah, you don't always think about it, but it's amazing to know when someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, I remember this," or "Oh, you did that," and then you think about it and you're like, "Wow, yeah." And so, and it is why I am and what I do is because I know that we're making a difference.
And as we get ready to wrap up, what is your favorite pizza place?
Mamma Mia's in Homestead.
Perfect. All right. Mr. President, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
And again, folks, whatever you need, Miami-Dade, where are we? Miami-Dade Homestead Campus is going to be able to take care of you, whether it's the credit, professional development, whether that's your end or at the beginning of your education. That's wonderful. And also, if you want to be in the funeral business, you can take...
Yes, at the North Campus.
Right. STEM classes, you can be a pilot if you want to do. You don't want to be a pilot, you want to be the maintenance, you want to be a nurse. All right, whole bunch of stuff. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much.
Again, folks, thank you for spending your time with us. And Andres, thank you for producing the show. Have a great day, folks.